Joe Burrow's injury history has always loomed large, but this time, it's triggering a seismic shift. With Burrow once again sidelined and uncertainty clouding his long-term durability, the Bengals have pivoted hard. Their $30 million offer to Shedeur Sanders isn't a backup plan, it's a new blueprint. This isn't about depth. It's about future-proofing a franchise that's unwilling to wait on recovery timelines.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
In Sanders, Cincinnati sees more than a fill-in, they see a successor. And with media voices like Stephen A. Smith pushing the narrative forward, the momentum behind this deal is building at breakneck speed. For Cleveland, the implications are devastating. Losing Sanders wouldn't just be a roster loss, it would be a statement about the franchise's ability to retain and develop elite talent. As the Bengals move swiftly and publicly, the Browns are left reacting, scrambling to project stability in the face of growing internal doubt. The AFC North is shifting in real time, and Sanders is the axis. Kevin Stefanski is done playing it cool. He's reportedly furious, and at this point, who could blame him? His team is unraveling. The offense is a mess. The losing streak keeps growing. And now, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback Cleveland pinned its hopes on, has a $30 million offer on the table from the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is a worst-case scenario for the Browns. The Bengals are not just another team. They're a divisional rival, a contender, and a franchise that knows exactly what it's doing. They've looked at Joe Burrow's injury situation, assessed the future risk, and are now going after Shedeur Sanders like he's the guy. Not a backup. Not a development piece. The franchise quarterback of the future. And while Cincinnati quietly gets their ducks in a row, clearing cap space, adjusting contracts, creating a system around Sanders, the Browns are stuck watching the most promising part of their offense slip through their fingers. What makes this even more brutal is that Sanders hasn't said a word. No public statement. No Instagram post. No hint of loyalty. He's gone completely silent. And that silence? It's deafening. It's what's driving the chaos. The Browns front office has been thrown into full-blown crisis mode. Internally they're split. Some want to make a counteroffer, meet the Bengals dollar for dollar. Others think the optics are too far gone, that the fact Sanders hasn't shut the door on the Bengals means he's already halfway out. And Stefanski? He's livid. He's trying to prepare his team for games while fielding non-stop questions about whether their quarterback is about to walk. That kind of pressure doesn't just affect the coaching staff, it hits the entire locker room. Players are unsure if Sanders is still all in. Some are starting to question leadership. Some reportedly feel blindsided, unaware just how serious the Bengals' pursuit had become until it hit the media. And then there's the fans. Cleveland fans are loyal, but they're also tired. They've been through quarterback after quarterback, rebuild after rebuild. Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be different. He was supposed to bring stability, excitement, a long-term plan. And now, before that plan has even had a chance to start, it's on life support. The city's frustrated. They're seeing social media flooded with Bengals fans celebrating, with rumors swirling, and with experts like Stephen A. Smith publicly endorsing the move. Stephen A. said it plainly, Sanders should go to Cincinnati. He called it the smart move. He called Sanders the future. He said the Bengals know what they're doing, and he's not wrong. From a football perspective, it makes total sense. Cincinnati is a team built to win now. Even with Burrow down, the weapons are there. The culture is in place. And the organization moves with purpose. Sanders would walk into a well-oiled machine. A structure that supports his development. An offense that would be tailored to his strengths. And a fan base that's already lining up behind him before he's even signed. Meanwhile, Cleveland is dealing with division, confusion, anxiety. The locker room is reportedly split. Some players are backing Sanders no matter what. Others feel he's creating a distraction, that he's letting the situation drag out and holding the team hostage. And let's not forget, this entire saga is happening mid-season. This is when teams are supposed to be laser-focused on football. Instead, Cleveland is stuck in a quarterback firestorm. And every time Sanders stays quiet, the pressure cooker just gets hotter. Then there's the league-wide impact. The NFL is watching this unfold in real time. Not just because Sanders is a rising talent, but because this is a moment that could reshape how teams approach young quarterbacks. If the Bengals succeed in luring him away, it sends a massive signal to the rest of the league. Your rookie QBs aren't locked in. Money talks. Strategy wins. And loyalty? That's negotiable. This deal, if it happens, marks a huge shift in player empowerment. Because let's be real, Shedeur Sanders is holding all the power right now. He has two franchises waiting. One in panic mode. One in stealth mode. And the entire football world watching his next move like it's the last chess piece in a championship match. And with every hour he waits, that power grows. This isn't a case of a player being rushed or pressured. This is a player calling the shots. Watching both teams sweat. Letting the media debate it. Letting fan bases argue about what's coming. He's in total control. And when that decision drops, it's going to ripple through the entire AFC North. If Sanders joins the Bengals, Cleveland isn't just losing a quarterback. They're losing face. They're losing faith. They're losing what little stability they had left. And Stefanski? It's hard to see how he survives that kind of blow. A young quarterback leaving in the middle of a chaotic season, scooped up by a rival? That's the kind of collapse that leads to a full regime change. And if Sanders does stay, the cracks still remain. The locker room isn't forgetting this. The fan base isn't going to feel reassured just because he stayed. They're going to remember how close it came to falling apart. How quiet he was when things got loud. How little the organization seemed to control the situation. That's the damage of a saga like this. Even if you win, you still bleed. But for Cincinnati, there's no downside. They've already won the media war. They look organized, strategic, forward-thinking. And if Sanders walks into their facility, they'll have pulled off one of the most aggressive quarterback moves in recent memory. They'll have replaced an injured Joe Burrow not with a short-term fix, but with a long-term star in the making. And they'll have taken him from Cleveland. That's not just a move. That's a statement. So what now? The entire league waits. The fans keep refreshing their feeds. The analysts keep pushing their takes. The Browns try to stay calm. And the Bengals? They wait quietly confident. But everyone knows, this is about to explode. Because however this ends, it's not ending softly. It's going to leave bruises. It's going to shake fan bases. It's going to change how quarterbacks are treated, how contracts are written, and how franchises protect their talent. Shedeur Sanders isn't just choosing between teams. He's making a decision that could redefine what it means to be a young quarterback with leverage. So now we ask you, should he go? Should he leave the chaos and uncertainty in Cleveland for a fresh start in Cincinnati? Or does he stay loyal to the team that drafted him, stick it out through the noise, and try to build something from the ashes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this if you've been following every twist of this insane story. Share it with someone who's already arguing in the group chat. And subscribe, because when this decision finally drops, the NFL is going to feel it. And it won't be quiet. The longer this standoff drags on, the more it feels like we're watching a power shift in real time, not just between Shedeur Sanders and the Browns, but between two very different models of how an NFL franchise handles its future. Cleveland is stuck clinging to control it clearly doesn't have. Cincinnati is moving like a calculated machine. And right in the middle is Sanders, silent, strategic, and holding both organizations in the palm of his hand. Let's call this what it is, a crisis for the Browns and a masterclass from the Bengals. Because from the outside, this isn't even looking like a negotiation anymore. It's a test of Cleveland's entire infrastructure. A challenge to whether they're capable of keeping talent when it matters most. Whether they can project strength under pressure. Whether they can lead when someone else is pulling the strings. And right now, the answer to all three is leaning toward no. Shedeur Sanders isn't dragging this out by accident. He's watching, listening, weighing. His silence is the loudest move on the board. And Cleveland? They're playing catch-up in public, while Cincinnati patiently waits with $30 million and a blueprint ready to go. This is what happens when a team builds around potential without a contingency plan. The Browns believed they had time. Time to groom Sanders. Time to figure out their offense. Time to solve the issues in the locker room. Time to clean up the losses and build a winning identity. But time ran out the moment the Bengals stepped in with an offer and a plan. And while the Browns continued to struggle on the field, losses piling up, fans losing patience. Off the field, their most valuable asset might be walking straight into the hands of a rival without even saying goodbye. It's not just embarrassing. It's destabilizing. Kevin Stefanski is reportedly furious, and you can see why. He's trying to prepare a team for Sunday while managing a media circus built around a quarterback who hasn't publicly committed to anything. There are rumors of tension between Stefanski and front office leadership. Between coaches and players. Between teammates who are tired of the uncertainty and want answers. But there are no answers. Just a widening silence that feels more like a countdown. And on the other side? The Bengals. A team that's dealt with injury after injury to their franchise quarterback, and still found a way to stay competitive. A front office that moves fast, aligns behind decisions, and doesn't let emotion drive the process. A coaching staff that doesn't need to make public statements because they've already earned the trust of their locker room. While Cleveland spins, Cincinnati plots. And it's not just Bengals fans getting excited, it's the entire football world recognizing that this could be the kind of bold, aggressive move that rewrites a division. Think about the optics. A rival team watching the Browns flail through yet another quarterback mess, comes in with a $30 million offer, no drama, no leaks, and lands the player Cleveland was banking its future on. That's not a free agency win. That's a statement. And it could reshape the AFC North. If Sanders makes the move, Cincinnati doesn't just get a young quarterback. They get momentum. They get press. They get buy-in from players who want to win now. And they get an insurance policy if Burrow's injury history turns into a long-term issue. This isn't a rebuild, it's a reload. And what does Cleveland get? They get to start over. Again. They get another offseason of quarterback questions. Another round of draft speculation. Another excuse-filled press conference. Another locker room reset. Another promise to fans that this time things will be different. Except this time the fans might not buy it. Because this time they didn't just lose a player. They lost control. They lost the benefit of the doubt. They lost the one thing they couldn't afford to lose again, hope. That's why this situation is bigger than a contract. It's a mirror being held up to Cleveland's organization, and the reflection is brutal. They had the player, the name, the momentum, and they couldn't keep it together long enough to lock it down. And don't get it twisted, if Sanders leaves, the blame game starts immediately. Some will blame Stefanski. Some will blame the front office. Some will blame Sanders himself. But none of it will fix the damage that's already done. Because this saga isn't happening in isolation, it's happening on national television, on sports radio, on every social media platform, on every sports panel and podcast. And the narrative is already slipping away. This is a team that can't keep a quarterback. This is a team that doesn't have internal alignment. This is a team that gets outplayed off the field as much as on it. And all of it? Driven by one unanswered question. What is Shedeur Sanders going to do? That's the wild part. One decision. One player. One deal. And the futures of two franchises hanging in the balance. The silence is surgical. It's not random. It's leverage. Sanders is using every second to let the pressure build, and it's working. Cleveland is in a panic. Cincinnati is in position. And the league is watching it all play out like it's the season finale of a primetime drama. Let's not pretend there's a clean outcome here for the Browns. If Sanders stays, the locker room still has to deal with the fact that he considered leaving. The coaching staff has to answer for how close they came to losing him. And the front office has to justify why they didn't lock things down sooner. If he leaves, it's a collapse. A full-on organizational implosion. One that could cost Stefanski his job. One that could lead to a roster shakeup. One that could send a message to every young star in the league. Don't commit long-term to a team that doesn't know how to protect its own future. So what happens now? We wait. We analyze every hint, every rumor, every cryptic tweet. We refresh timelines. We debate. We argue. And we know, deep down, that when the decision comes, it's going to be massive. Because this isn't just another off-season move. This is a fork in the road for two teams with very different trajectories. The Bengals are ready. They're organized, aggressive, and moving with purpose. The Browns are fractured. They're reactive, unsteady, and desperate to hold on to something that already looks lost. And Shedeur Sanders? He holds every card. So let's hear it. Where do you stand? Should Sanders take the Bengals' $30 million offer and step into a system that's ready for him? Or should he stay in Cleveland, silence the noise, and try to become the leader the Browns have been searching for? And here's where things get even messier. Because if you really zoom out, you start to realize this isn't just about Shedeur Sanders or Kevin Stefanski. This is about how the NFL is evolving, and how some teams are being left. For years, franchises like Cleveland have operated under the assumption that drafting a promising quarterback gives them time. Time to develop. Time to build. Time to figure things out. But that's not how the league works anymore. Not in this media landscape. Not with the kind of leverage players are learning to use. And definitely not when rival teams are ready to throw $30 million at your future. There's no time anymore. There's only now. And that's exactly what the Bengals are betting on. They saw an opportunity, Burrow's injuries, the need for a backup plan, and a rising star sitting in a volatile environment. They didn't wait for Cleveland to collapse on its own. They pushed it over the edge. Now let's be honest, if Sanders ends up in Cincinnati, the headlines won't just say Bengals sign new QB. They'll say Browns lose another one. Because this franchise has a history, and the NFL remembers. The quarterback carousel in Cleveland is legendary. And not in a good way. So when someone like Shedeur shows up with all the hype, all the tools, and all the potential to finally change that story, there's a certain responsibility to protect him. To build around him. To prove to your fanbase that you've learned something from the last 2 decades of quarterback disasters. But the fact that this has even become a public standoff? It's proof that Cleveland didn't do enough. They didn't lock him in fast enough. They didn't reassure him loudly enough. They didn't treat him like the future when he needed to feel like it. And the result? Now he's weighing loyalty against legacy. Emotion against empire. Because make no mistake, if Shedeur goes to the Bengals and succeeds, that's legacy defining. He'll be the guy who stepped into a powerhouse franchise and helped keep them competitive post-Burrow. He'll be the face of an offense that's already feared across the league. And he'll do it knowing he chose it on his own terms. But if he stays in Cleveland and the chaos continues, that legacy could be buried under dysfunction. That's the gamble. So let's talk timing, because that's where things get even more chaotic. The Browns are running out of it. Their season is spiraling. The fans are impatient. The media is relentless. Every day without an answer is a day the story grows bigger. And yet, Sanders still says nothing. That silence is calculated. He's letting Cleveland sweat. He's watching how they handle pressure, because this is the pressure test. And based on how things have played out so far, it's not going well. The leaks. The frustration from Stefanski. The split in the locker room. The front office reportedly scrambling to build counteroffers. It's not just messy, it's public. And if you're Sanders looking at both franchises, which one looks like a place where you can win? That's the bottom line. This isn't about feelings. It's about football. About rings. About legacy. Cincinnati has proven they can win. Cleveland has proven they can't hold on to what they have. And yes, money matters. That $30 million isn't just about compensation. It's about commitment. The Bengals didn't just toss a number out there for fun. They put together a serious offer, built a plan, and made it known that Sanders is a priority. That's how you win trust. That's how you win players. Meanwhile, Cleveland looks like it's still trying to figure out how they even got into this mess in the first place. And maybe the most frustrating part for Browns fans is that this was avoidable. There were signs. There were early whispers that Sanders wasn't fully sold. That he wanted stability. That the offensive scheme wasn't quite working for him. That the losing streak was starting to wear him down. But instead of addressing it head-on, they waited. They hoped it would pass. And now they're in full-on damage control, chasing a story that's already running faster than they can catch it. So what's the endgame? Does Sanders make a quiet exit, one Instagram post deep, and walk into the Bengals locker room with the biggest smile of his life? Or does he walk back into Cleveland, try to reset the narrative, and hope everyone forgets just how close he came to leaving? Either way, it's not going to be clean. And it's not going to be forgotten. Because this has already become one of the most talked about off-field sagas of the season, and it's not even over yet. The NFL is built on drama. But this is different. This is structural. Foundational. It's about what happens when a young quarterback realizes he has the power and isn't afraid to use it. It's a league shift playing out in real time. And honestly, feels like a warning shot for every other team too. If you don't build stability around your stars, if you don't communicate early and often, if you don't show them you're serious, someone else will. The Bengals proved that with one offer. And now the ball is fully in Shedeur Sanders' court. So now it's up to him. Stay with Cleveland and fight through the chaos, knowing that even a slight slip could drag him down with a sinking ship? Or jump to Cincinnati where the system's already in place, the money is guaranteed, and the road to success is paved with a team that knows how to win? Whatever choice he makes, it's going to be a defining moment, not just for him but for the entire AFC North. This is bigger than a contract. Bigger than a quarterback swap. This is the kind of decision that echoes for years. So what do you think? Should Sanders roll with the Bengals and secure the bag? Or stay and try to become a Cleveland legend? And just when you think this whole situation can't spiral any further, it does. Because now, insiders are hinting that the Bengals aren't just waiting quietly in the wings anymore. They're reportedly mobilizing. shuffling around contracts, prepping the playbook, quietly nudging people in the building to get familiar with the idea of Shedeur Sanders and stripes. That's not just interest, that's preparation. And over in Cleveland, the response has been defensive at best. The Browns are doing everything they can to project calm, but it's paper thin. Behind the scenes, it's panic mode. The kind of panic where you throw money at the problem and pray it sticks. Where upper management suddenly wants to be involved in football decisions. Where even the players are refreshing their timelines for updates because they're not getting answers internally. That's how unstable it's become. You can practically feel the tension when Stefanski takes the podium. His tight-lipped demeanor, the passive-aggressive digs about commitment and buy-in, it's all there. He's not just annoyed. He's furious. And it's not just about Sanders anymore, it's about what this whole saga is doing to his team. Because let's be real, there's no game plan for this. How do you lead a team when your quarterback might be gone in a week? How do you rally a locker room when half of them are already assuming the worst? And how do you keep fans engaged when they've seen this story before, and they know exactly how it ends? That's the real tragedy here. Cleveland fans have been here. The hype, the promise, the slow unraveling. The quarterback that was supposed to change everything suddenly looking out the door. It's déjà vu and it stinks. And Shedeur? He's playing it perfectly. No outbursts. No messy leaks. Just silence. Cleaned up social media. Strategic distance. It's not immature, it's deliberate. He's watching this thing collapse from the inside out without saying a word. That's power. That's leverage. And he knows it. When this finally ends, when he finally makes a move, it won't just be a transaction. It'll be a verdict. A verdict on which franchise has its act together. A verdict on what kind of organization quarterbacks actually want to play for in 2025. And if it's Cincinnati, it'll say everything. That the Bengals are building something real. That they're a serious player in the future of the league. And that when it comes to securing top-tier talent, they don't beg. They build. Meanwhile, Cleveland will be left to pick up the pieces. Again. So keep your notifications on because the moment is coming. And when it hits, it's going to ripple across the league. If you're still here, locked into this QB soap opera, hit that like. Let us know where you think Sanders should go. And yeah, subscribe. Because the next chapter is going to be wild.